Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for people around the world tuning in to the 2023 AgeTech Collaborative at AARP Challenge. We're really excited to welcome you from all over and all around the world. We have hundreds of people streaming into the program today, and we're really excited to kick this off. Welcome again to the 2023 AgeTech Collaborative from AARP February pitch competition, where we are going to be connecting health and wellness at home. And we are going to be understanding more about why tech solutions are now supporting aging in place better than they ever have before in human history. And we need it more than ever with the 50+ population growing at the rate that it is, and how these tech solutions are going to be supporting aging in place. So we're happy to welcome everyone back to HITLAB and back to the Zoom program that we run on a regular basis at the symposium. But we're really interested to have you introduce yourself in the chat box. We're one of the few programs around the world that is not only free, but it's also a lot of fun to pop your LinkedIn into the chat box that you should have access to. And so I'm going to throw my LinkedIn there to kick us off, and I hope you do too. And it would be great if you all could connect with each other, because one of the things that we found over the past 3 years is that virtual connections can actually add to meaningful change. So go ahead and connect with everybody. And if you're interested in any questions or answers, you'll see at this chat box will light up very quickly. Do connect with me, and I will be on LinkedIn taking questions and any comments and addressing them during the program as best I can. I can't promise I can address everything, but we are very excited to be working with you all today, and to be working especially with our great partners from AARP, and excited to be hosting this AgeTech Collaborative from AARP Pitch Challenge. We want to really thank our sponsor, the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP, for making this collaboration possible. They are doing amazing things, and we are so excited to be working with them again on this effort, bringing our collaborative efforts together to help not only impact the world of digital health in the 50+ population, but also actually bring about tremendous change, revolutionary change, as much as we can into the ecosystem, to make sure that folks that are aging in America are going to have the best technologies to be able to age at home, no matter what the situation, and make sure that they can actually continue to enjoy the home that they've been at for many years. This is also, you should know, part of a collaboration with the Breakthrough Alliance. We are really happy to be working with New York City Economic Development Corporation, and excited to be working with the folks from New York City in helping promote aging in place technologies as well. And the Breakthrough Alliance, chaired by the largest digital health fund in the world, the Merck Global Health Innovation Fund, and chaired by Bill Taranto, who's the president of that fund, is a big promoter of age tech and a big supporter of what we're doing here today. And again, if you're an enterprise and you're interested in joining the Breakthrough Alliance, click on that QR code in the last slide. And if you are interested in joining the Breakthrough Alliance One campaign and being a part of the Breakthrough Alliance community as an individual, we have the Breakthrough Alliance One campaign as well. And so again, getting to know some of the esteemed board members like you see on this slide here, with Bill Taranto on the left, and of course, Heather Cole-Lewis from Google, and then of course, Miko from New York City EDC, Amy West from Novo Nordisk, and Sheldon Ellman, the largest digital health fund in Canada, Esplanade, and of course, Pat Verdushin from Colgate-Palmolive. Just a tremendous board, many others on the board as well. But again, would love to have you participating and joining us on this incredible program, and working with us on those incredible efforts that we're working on to bring digital around the world. Let's take a look at the judges that we have today for the pitch competition. Just an incredible amount of talent. If you look at the names and the brands and the organizations, the enterprises affiliated with this competition, you can see just how many people in the ecosystem are passionate about making sure that we've got the best AgeTech in the world here in the United States. And you can see that these folks are really dedicated to this. Every single one of these judges poured through the applications that came in. We had well over 100 applications, hundreds from around the world, and they were very much very competitive. It was a very competitive field, and it was not easy to go through these. And we want to take a quick moment here to make sure that we appreciate our judges and all the time that they gave generously, I should say, to this event, and to make it as good as it is, and bring as much quality to and thoughtfulness as they did to the event. And we want to welcome our finalists. And again, you talk about world-class companies, HITLAB, we have a mission of identifying, evaluating, and helping to optimize the adoption of these technologies around the globe every day. So we study thousands of technologies a year. We look at thousands of technologies a year. We study hundreds of them in various studies, whether it's small heuristic studies or N equals 500 studies or FDA studies. And that's what our mission is at the lab. And so when we look at these 8 technologies that made the finalist round, every single one of these we look at as game changers. And so we know our judges did a great job when we take a look at these. And to go left to right and top to bottom, you have root detection, we have Salvio Innovations, Squig, and of course, everyone knows Stel as well. Envoy, Ursamin, and Sensors Call, and then Wisdo Health. And again, these are the 8 finalists in our competition. You're all going to hear from them later on in this, just coming up now in the next few minutes, and hear their pitches. And so you'll be able to participate in those as well. And then again, if you want to learn more about them, go ahead and just follow the chat box and check out the links that that Ainsley, our production manager, is pasting in there for you as we're going through this. And so that's super exciting. The agenda we have for you all today is also exciting. And so I think from top to bottom, starting with a keynote presentation from again, someone who is at the AgeTech Collaborative, Ariel Cadby-Spicer. She's the startup collaboration manager there. And again, you'll see her LinkedIn coming up in the chat box, and connect with these folks. I mean, they are working so hard to make sure that they've got the best AgeTech technologies and AgeTech companies in their collaborative, and they want to make sure they know who you are, what you're doing, and how you can help. And that's really critical. We'll also have, after Ariel is able to do a keynote talk at 4:05, then we're going to have an introduction to the judges. We've got 3 of some of the best minds in digital health today, including Wen Dombrowski, a physician who's Chief Conversions Officer at Catalyze, and Moshe Bellows. We've got Nathan Sunheimer, who has been a leader in this area for a long time at Plug and Play. If you don't know Plug and Play, you should look them up. Just an amazing outfit out in Silicon Valley. And then, of course, you've got the managing director, the managing member of Maccabee Ventures. And Maccabee Ventures has been around. They do a lot of digital health investing. Again, Moshe Bellows is there. And again, he's going to be the 3rd judge on today's panel. And so we'll go through those judges, and then we'll jump into the pitches. And we're excited to have these companies. They have their pitches ready. They'll be giving those. And then at that point, we're going to, the judges will go off in the judges' room, and they'll do their judging. And then we'll hear a keynote presentation, a post-pitch keynote presentation from Dr. Partha Bhattacharya from the National Institutes of Aging. And again, he's with the National Institute of Health and Program Director for that National Institutes of Aging. And again, Dr. Bhattacharya is the Chief Data Officer and for Data Resources and Analytics. So just a tremendous mind to understand. Certainly, again, to get to know, link in with them as well. And then at 5:50, we're going to have the awards and the ceremony for the winners. And that's going to be super exciting. So with that, I'm happy to introduce Ariel Cadby-Spicer for our pre-pitch keynote. Ariel, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Stan. And it's really great to be here today. It's really exciting that we get to host these pitch competitions throughout the year. My name is Ariel Cadby-Spicer, and I work on the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP team, where we look for exciting innovations in the age tech space and help accelerate those solutions by connecting all of these wonderful organizations, from innovative early stage solutions to VCs and investors, to test beds who are interested in piloting these really great products, to large enterprises who want to support them. It's been really great to see the ecosystem come together and focus on this underserved market that represents $8 trillion in the US economy. We're really excited to get to see these really early stage solutions, and we know how much of a difference they make in people's everyday lives. So it's really exciting to get to see all these founders present their really exciting products, and I'm just really excited to watch. So thank you so much for joining us today, and Stan, I will pass it back to you.
That is fantastic, Ariel. Thank you again. And again, thank you for your support of this program. And we are jumping right into this, and this is so exciting to get the judges on board and get them to introduce themselves to you, the audience. And again, don't be afraid. If you want to ask questions, you can go through the chat box here. I've also posted my LinkedIn there, and you can certainly link in with me and ask questions through messaging on LinkedIn. It'll be a little bit easier just to be able to process them on LinkedIn, since it's a little bit easier and less overflowing with different messages. And so with that, very happy to introduce Dr. Wen Dombrowski, Chief Convergence Officer at Catalyze. Hi, Wen, how are you?
Hi, Stan. I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks to the HITLAB team and AARP for inviting me today. I'm really honored to be here, and I just wanted to share a little bit about myself, just to give a perspective of where I'm coming from when I'm asking the questions during the judging session. So I'm a geriatrics physician and a technology innovation leader, and my company Catalyze and I, we work with Fortune 500 companies, tech startups, pharma, health systems, payers, retail, and senior care organizations. And we help them specifically with innovation strategy, new product strategy, and adoption of emerging technologies. Like, for example, we've been working on AI products for more than a decade now. So what really makes us different is our hands-on experience, because my team has all been leaders in healthcare organizations and in tech startups, and we're focusing on the new emerging technologies. And it really gives us a practical, hands-on understanding about what really is feasible in organizations and what are the real challenges to tackle. Just as an example, I was previously CIO and CMIO for a large statewide home care organization that serves seniors and overseeing their IT, digital patient engagement, value-based care initiatives. And then on the clinical side, I've worked across the continuum of care, ranging from house calls to senior centers, assisted living, nursing homes, clinics, and inpatient hospitals in the ER. So these really firsthand experiences spanning from care in the homes to the variety of care settings to more executive leadership roles and the regional scope really gives us a perspective that informs the work we do today. I just briefly wanted to mention that one of my current projects, I've mapped out the dementia best care practices and technologies across the ecosystem. So if anyone is interested in collaborating or disseminating this work, feel free to connect me on LinkedIn and with a note about what you're interested in. And last but not least, I wanted to mention that I'm also a venture partner with Qubits Ventures. We are a VC fund that invests in early stage quantum and deep tech startups. So feel free to connect on that as well. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Wen. Thank you for that. And again, really appreciate your generosity and dedicating your time today to help out with this. And with that as well, another West Coast presence, Nathan Sudheimer from Plug and Play. Hi, Nathan, how are you? Can you give the audience a couple-minute background on yourself as well?
Sure, and thanks for having me, Stan. And it's always tough to go after one. She always does such a great job introducing herself, and she's always doing 1,000 different things. So I'll keep it a little simpler on that front. But hi, everyone. Nathan Sudheimer. I head U.S. healthcare partnerships at Plug and Play. What Plug and Play is we're the world's largest open innovation platform. And what we do in that platform is we connect the world's best startups with national and global corporations to bring new tech and solutions to market faster. So we do that typically in 3 buckets, the first being corporate innovation, which is really a lot of facilitated matchmaking. We work on behalf of investors and corporation strategy, innovation, CVC departments. And what we really try to do is advance their innovation capabilities. The second thing that we do is we run accelerators, and we do that, across 40 different locations all around the world. And then lastly, we are early stage investors. We do invest in 20 different industries, but in healthcare specifically, we've made 135 investments to date. And we have 3 unicorns as part of our portfolio, which are Alkin, Bisbee Medical, and Guardant Health. And then prior to Plug and Play, I've just been involved in a number of different roles from an investment standpoint, consulting on behalf of startups, working with different corporations. So really, I view myself as an individual, most like, with Moshe and Wen, more so as a connective tissue in this healthcare innovation ecosystem. So whether you're an investor looking to meet startups looking to get connected to corporates or investors, or a corporate that's looking to have some sort of eyes and ears into this innovation ecosystem, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to figure out how I can help you.
Brilliant. All right. No, that's phenomenal. And again, look up Plug and Play, take a look at what they do. Just an incredible group of folks. And he's not kidding when he talks about unicorns, and he's not kidding about how much they've done in digital health. You can look at their portfolio, and just phenomenal ecosystem leaders. And with that, our final judge is Moshe Bellows. He's a managing member of Maccabee Ventures. And Moshe, I'll hand over the virtual microphone to you.
Thank you so much. So yes, I'm the managing member of Maccabee Ventures. Maccabee Ventures is a New York-based early stage pre-seed and seed fund. And we're a generalist fund, but we do have a sub-focus on what we call silver tech, which is longevity and aging, fintech and prop tech. I personally am a 3rd generation nursing home owner and operator. So we've seen it from the inside, as it were. We pride ourselves on being a value add strategic investor. Our fund is separate, but affiliated with Yeshiva University, and hence we get to leverage 70,000 alumni worldwide. And I teach venture at the university. So we have also a virtuous flywheel with our students over the years who are now well-positioned in various companies, technology companies, banks, and in the spaces that we pursue.
That's fantastic. And just to be clear, when you look at what Maccabee's done, guys, take a look at them and look at our portfolio. It's extremely impressive, including things like Tembo Health and Elios Health. And my favorite, frankly, is Cake. Anyone who invests in Cake, that and Ben and Jerry's, and you have a great investment thesis.
Well done.
All right. So look, this is where we get to the actual crunch time, and the audience and all the judges get to hear all of the different pitches from our brilliant 8 finalists. And we're going to start with our finalist who is in the world of, again, remote care and remote therapy. So we'll start with Sana Gaspard, CEO of Rubidetection. Sana.
Hi, Rubidetection is a health tech company addressing a common, growing, and expensive healthcare problem faced by millions of families within the US and around the world, like the Parker family.
You might be going home very soon.
Yes, the doctor did come in today and give us that good news. But she also stated that Bill will have less mobility, recovering because of his stroke, especially when it says it's going to take 2 people to get him out of bed.
Yes, well, we're going to show you a few tips and tricks today about how to prevent him from having a breakdown on his skin pressure ulcer.
Yeah, I definitely don't want that happening.
Skin breakdowns may sound harmless when you're dealing with a stroke, but they actually kill 60,000 people every year, costing the US healthcare system $26 billion annually. With the primary at-risk population being older adults, doubling to over 85 million people in the next 25 years, this is soon going to be an avalanche of costs for facilities and for families who might find themselves overwhelmed, ill-prepared to deal with the situation and facing legal penalties for the development of the condition. All of this is preventable, though. That's the good news. If you can detect the condition early, you can prevent it from developing. However, early detection is difficult and unreliable. The current diagnostic test relies on the user to see and feel changes in the skin, which makes it difficult and very subjective, with limited utility on darker skin tones, putting people of color at over 2 times greater risk of developing some of the most severe cases of the condition. For all patients who may be at risk, whether they have dementia, stroke, or diabetes, our solution, the Rubitech Assessment System, can be used to identify the injury from inception to advanced wound development, to provide caregivers with the data needed to develop customized patient care plans and enable remote patient monitoring, allowing patients to benefit from reduced recovery times, a reduction in readmissions, as well as improving patient safety and quality of life while reducing overall cost of care. Compared to our competition, we are lower in cost, easier to use, and comprehensive, allowing any user to monitor the condition from inception to advanced wound development. This competitive advantage will allow us to dominate a $4.3 billion US market, which includes sales to hospitals, nursing homes, and home care agencies, where our ultimate market is in the home care, where we'll sell the product using a SaaS subscription model, where we sell the device and make additional recurring revenue from the software platform. We will also sell to facilities to help reduce the incidence of the condition to help get patients home faster. For our facilities, we will sell the product using a razor blade business model, where we bundle the software and hardware together and make recurring revenue from the disposable cover. With this model, we can generate over $265,000 a year per facility. To get to this goal, we're currently focused on prototype development and pilot testing before moving on to product development and initial sales to clinical partners, with the goal of fully launching the product by 2025 with the support of strategic sales and distribution partners. That will allow us to grow to over $240 million within 5 years of launching the product on the market. And we already have a growing pipeline of potential customers, as well as 5 letters of support from potential sales and distribution partners who are excited about what we're doing because we meet a market void. In terms of what we've done so far, we've already raised $1 million in pre-seed funding, predominantly non-dilutive. We've used that to build a click-through prototype of our software platform, as well as a functional prototype of our device. Testing of the system has shown that we can detect that early diagnostic biomarker with 100% accuracy. The team behind Rubitection includes myself. I'm the CEO and founder. I have a background in biomedical engineering. Dr. Hines develops our custom algorithms, and Michael Schilling supports prototype design and fabrication. We surrounded ourselves with a team of experts from FDA, manufacturing, product development, and business. As a team, we're dedicated to solving this problem and bringing this solution to market. When we looked at the broader impact, we realized by taking the same technology and applying it to other healthcare conditions like surgical wound monitoring after hip surgery, or the management of chronic dermatological conditions like psoriasis or skin cancer, we can increase our market to over $36 billion. But today we're starting with wound care. We're currently raising $2 million to take us to the next level with our technology and additional clinical data. We are also looking for additional introductions to care providers, potential corporate partners, and clinical test sites. So we invite you today to join our revolution to reimagine skincare based on data-driven analytics, and to do well while doing good, to help improve care for our older adults in our family today and for ourselves in the future. Thank you.
That is outstanding. All right. And thank you, Sana from Rubitection. And we are one pitch down in our finalist pitches for the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP. And we have the next up finalist ready to go and ready to present. And so with that, let's go ahead and queue up the next slide here. Let me just go here. So we're going to, okay. And so judges, go ahead.
Sure, I'm happy to kick us off. And Sana, great presentation. I really enjoyed learning more about Rubitection. Just as a quick clarifying question, you know, in your subscription model, were you saying it was $4 per device or $4 per patient? And then also, just out of curiosity, it seems like it's a one-to-one user platform, but do you have a greater provider-facing platform that would cover, you know, an interface for an entire facility?
Yeah, so the device itself is $120. The software system is $4 a month subscription. So the patient would buy the device and then do the subscription. If you're a facility, we bundle the software and hardware together for $120. and we make recurring revenue from a disposable cover. So the device can be used in any healthcare setting. So there is an enterprise version that the doctors would use to then also support remote patient monitoring in the home. And then there's also a mobile app platform that patients can use in the home to then send the data to the cloud and EHR and facilitate remote patient monitoring.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
All right, judges, any other questions?
Wen, did you have one?
I was curious if you could speak more about your business team members. It sounds like you have a very strong engineering team and a very impressive product. And also you have already a lot of LOIs and potential interest. And I'm curious if you could speak more about your business team members.
Sure. Right now, our business team members, we are in the process of bringing on a full-time business person. We have a business advisor who's a serial entrepreneur in the medtech space, and we have several other business mentors that we talk to who have experience in the medtech space. So with the $2 million that we're currently raising right now, that's a role that we're looking to bring on right now. But most of the business development work in terms of the LOIs and partner outreach and engagement has been done by our core team of engineers so far.
Just to get super granular for a second. So the let's say you have 100 bed community, senior living community.
Mm-hmm.
How many devices do you think you would need to service that community? And let's start there.
Okay, so you said 100 beds?
Yeah.
So if we had 100 beds, let's say it was a 3-floor facility, on average around 30 patients per floor. And talking to facilities like nursing homes, what they've told us is that they would probably use 1 to 2 devices per floor. And however, most of their patients in that facility are at risk. So they get their skin checked either once a day by the aide or every other day by the wound care team. So every time the skin is checked with our device, that's where we would generate that revenue, is from the use of the device through the disposable cover. So the majority of our revenue comes from the recurring revenue model, either from the software or from the disposable cover. And it's just a high volume use because skin checks have to be done regularly, typically on a daily basis, depending on where in the healthcare system you are located.
And that sorry to follow up, the disposable cover, I get it from room to room. If that was in the home setting, how often would you replace the cover in the home?
So if it's a home care setting where it's being used by a consumer, not a visiting nurse, there is no disposable cover. They can just use the device because it's one patient only. So there's a lot of regulation around patient safety and device cleaning in the facility that's facilitated that. So we added the disposable cover specifically because nurses requested it. They said, we don't want to have to spend a lot of time cleaning this device. If we have to, we are not going to use it. So we added the cover, and that those regulations became even more stringent post-COVID. But use in a patient's home, it's one patient, so they can wipe that down, use it on the patient, and at that point, the recurring revenue model is from the software service.
Great, thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
That's fantastic. All right, really well done. Thank you, Sana. And next up, we have Stell with their CEO, Sid Kantham, giving the presentation. So go ahead, Sid.
Hi, I'm Sid Candon, CEO of Stell, and our mission is to simplify connectivity for patients, care teams, device manufacturers that are advancing care to the home. This pandemic has revealed the digital divide is real, and there's a real risk of, as we move forward with care, patients and care teams we're leaving behind. Many patients lack the Wi-Fi, smartphones, and security practices to partake in this new standard of care, and IT departments are unsatisfied with their shotgun approach of a digital health strategy. In an ideal world, patients should be able to just measure their vitals, and care teams would use their existing preferred workflows to view and interact with the data. So we made that possible with the Stell Hub. This Stell Hub includes our patented software, which powers our operating system, allowing patients to just simply measure their vitals within 100 feet of the hub, and we'll do the rest. There's no buttons or switches on the hubs. Patients just have to plug it into any electric outlet. We then send the data over cellular right into the preferred workflow. So we've had patients take this on cruises out in the Mojave Desert, the islands of Maine, to the volcanoes of Hawaii, and we've gotten connectivity in places where cell phones struggle. The other benefit is everything is done through a Hub ID. So you just have to associate the Hub ID with the EHR, making STEL a one-directional pipeline. There's no PHI shared with STEL in this process. We transmit the Hub ID, the device measurement, the device MAC address, and details needed to get the data into the EHR or preferred care platform. This hub allows patients and CIOs to support all patients across the care continuum, from wellness to chronic care management to RPM to more advanced hospital at home initiatives. We also allow health systems to pick the best devices for their programs, and we don't make margins off of the devices, so you're able to get the best preferred price without worrying about artificial markups. To date, we've transmitted millions of vitals from trusted health system partners. There's a dozen of them, like Lehigh Valley, Tower Health, Medical University of South Carolina, Yale, Tampa General, Hawaii Pacific Health, a bunch of FQHCs, as well as Jefferson, Temple University, and a number of digital health and virtual care teams. We have hundreds of devices on our ecosystem, and it's a growing list of partnerships that we're proud of. When patients do get this device and health systems do invest in this technology, they've noticed increased metrics in what matters. They were able to reduce the readmission rates for heart failure patients and the various patients. They were able to also reduce the number of unnecessary admissions and improve length of stay, causing both value in fee-for-service and value-based care incentive programs. In terms of our standard strategy moving forward, we have a solid focus on improving the device ecosystem to give manufacturers of medical devices an opportunity to build a non-iOS or non-Android interface, as well as Wi-Fi nodes such as the Amazon Alexa, some routers, and Google Homes, as well as others in the Matter profile. And lastly, we believe in a strong EHR AI ecosystem, and our contribution to that world is simplifying and giving confidence with a device connectivity aspect here. So you can think of STEL as infrastructure as a service, ultimately. Patients use the devices, a node like our cellular hub node or some of these concept nodes will send data to the server, and we'll route it to the EHR preferred care platform, whether it's a trusted source like Lucent Health, Bioformis, right to the EHR or right to the patient's health apps. We have various flows as well, including a new one with the Amazon Alexa flow, where you can go to devices and you'll see a number of STEL devices here. So I can click the Dexcom CGM that I'm currently wearing, and I'll be able to route it right within the Alexa app into the various health systems. You can see it goes from Yale. I can select Tampa General instead, as well as the health apps. And you'll see Lucent Health and or Amazon Bioformis, Google, as well as a number of others that believe in our ecosystem. We have a stellar team that I'm very proud of, including leaders from the health clinical world, as well as the technical world with health devices. We are very proud and excited for the future of health tech connectivity, and we're looking forward for others to join our world and mission. Thanks.
That was an outstanding presentation as well. All right, Sid. So let's go ahead and bring our judges back into the virtual room here and answer some questions. All right, judges, we'll start with Wen.
Yeah, thanks, Sid, for that presentation. It's interesting that you're providing a hardware solution as well as a software and data solution. And I was curious, how do you harmonize with other RPM vendors? I mean, most health systems have a wide range of different RPM vendors, telehealth initiatives. So how do you harmonize with it at an initiative level? And then also, how are you managing the data integration at the semantic interoperability level?
Yeah, great question, Wen. So from a philosophical standpoint, we don't think a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk can come in and solve healthcare device connectivity. We think it's going to take us all. And we think it's really contributing and elevating the standards for everyone to partake in this initiative. So we work with device manufacturers and give them a simpler ecosystem to manage. So instead of breeding and building out iOS and Android teams, they can just develop on the STEL ecosystem. We build the drivers, we deploy them out into the ecosystem. And then we have our Nordic concept hub, so Nordic Semiconductor, trusted name. They make the actual hardware unit here and they put our OS on. So you can think of it as a Dell running Microsoft, or like a gateway. This is a Google Nest concept or an Amazon Echo, and they can run our OS, kind of like a gateway Dell, HP could run Microsoft.
Okay, and then in terms of, you mentioned the semiconductor hub, have you heard of Qualcomm's 2net device that was launched in 2011? I'm curious, how do you differ from them?
Yeah, big fans of them. Good friends with Clint, Robert, Jaron. A lot of the people that supported that initiative are on our team now. We're standing on the shoulders of a lot of the work that they've done for the industry and getting us moving forward here. I think we got a little bit lucky with the competitive breaks that we have as a startup and being nimble and fast with the movement here. I think the TuneNet was really going for that cohesive experience, whereas we invest in the operating system aspect that could be deployed to multiple gateways.
Great question. So I think I have time for one more.
Sure, happy to ask a question. Thanks again, Sid. Great presentation. Kind of building off of when, but moving from the what to the who, mostly just thinking about my parents, because I mean, like my grandparents, I don't think could figure it out. I don't even think my own parents could figure it out, even though they can do. I mean, they're highly intelligent people, but technology is not their thing. So who actually configures all of these solutions into the STEL hub? And then I'm thinking of it in terms of like a let's just say it's like a post-care setting. You already have the STEL hub at home. Doctor presents, recommends a different platform, different device. Is it something that STEL can do remotely, or how does this work?
Absolutely, yeah. So we build out the drivers and we deploy remotely. From a patient standpoint, they just have to plug this into electric. There's no buttons or switches. And if they use a medical device, like it just popped my pill cap thing, the hub picks it up in the background up to 150 to 200 feet. So everything should be seamless. I think the emphasis is on aging and care in place, but the AirPods generation of not using settings and not using all the device Bluetooth parameters and just expecting it to work, we're also targeting that simplicity.
That's fantastic. All right. Well done again, Sid. Thank you very much for that phenomenal presentation. And we are on to our third finalist with Wisdo. And Boaz is going to be presenting his company, who's the founder and CEO. Okay, Boaz.
Hey, Wen, Nathan, and Moshe. I'm Boaz, the CEO and founder of Wisdo Health, a social health company turning back the alarming rise of loneliness affecting 120 million Americans aged 50 plus by providing well-designed peer-to-peer connections that measurably improve health from the comfort of home. I started Wisdo after losing my 73-year-old father to cancer after 8 very long years of struggle, during which we often felt alone and socially isolated. So today is coming full circle for me. Thank you for this opportunity. As AARP itself has documented, 40% of Americans age 50 and above experience loneliness, best defined as a gap between the people you have in your life and the people you would like to have since they've been in your shoes. This underserved epidemic, research has proven, can only be addressed by helpful, healthy human connections. But how do we make sure that people connect to the right people who can help them close the loneliness gap and feel better and healthier? Well, after almost 5 years of research and development, Wisdo is now solving this problem. After working with over 500,000 members, we are today live with a digital platform that maps out loneliness triggers and then matches members to others who've been in their shoes and are likely to help, since they've been ranked as helpful by others and have profiles that are uniquely relevant to that member joining. Our algorithm is built to connect people with the goal of increasing a sense of emotional support and a sense of worth. Very simply, we've learned who to connect, with whom, and when to lower loneliness, and then we adjust daily and monthly based on engagement and measurement. Our approach is based on science. Once a month, we check in with members to measure using the standard UCLA loneliness scale whether indeed the connections we provided have improved social health. Although our cost of operations is low, we've been able to lower loneliness and unhealthy days, as we will see, which imply a significant reduction in medical costs, which against the size of the problem and our low-cost pricing imply a serviceable addressable market of $2.7 billion, growing to $3.3 billion by 2030 as Medicare Advantage populations continue to grow. Most importantly, we work. You're meeting us just as we have published a white paper summarizing our 12-month pilot with the exceptional team at Humana, and even as we are launching additional partnerships. So let's look at a quick snapshot of our unique technology and social health matching approach, then look at our Humana pilot results. The member journey starts with a very simple question. What is making you feel lonelier than desired? We then show specific life stressors and obstacles to health that are part of that journey and invite people to indicate what they experienced in the past with a been there click, what are they experiencing now with a there now click, and what they would like to experience, which we describe as goals, so we can build up a sense of achievement. Lastly, and very importantly, we baseline members against a social health score and estimate by how much they can improve within 90 days based on other people in their cohorts. This works. Now, here's how we know. Working with a 1,400 Medicare Advantage population in 34 states, we were able to show loneliness reduction for almost 60% of the population in 90 days, a reduction of 6.5 unhealthy days, a quality of life measure within just 1 month, an engagement rate of 42% 12 months after joining, despite the entire pilot population baselining as lonely or severely lonely, with 75% having more than 2 chronic conditions, and an opportunity to refer 21% of any given population to additional services accessible from the comfort of home, especially telehealth. The loneliness epidemic can and should be solved. We hope to be able to solve it together. Thank you.
Yeah,
Guys.
that's amazing. Thank you. That was phenomenal, Boaz, and really appreciate the presentation and just, you know, spot on with where this is going and where people need help. So let's open it up for the judges. Wen and certainly Nathan and Moshe, what do you guys think? Who would like to go first?
I will. Boaz, a pleasure. So first of all, I'm sorry for your loss, and we've experienced cancer loss in our family too. So I hear the challenge. So thank you for trying to tackle it. How do you think, I'm a fan of compound questions. How do you feel about safety, selection, and vetting? How do you guys think about that? And then what's your acquisition strategy?
So in terms of safety, that's a top priority. You can't have safety without social health. So we have a very robust moderation platform that watch list is over 750 keywords that when used flag our own internal dashboards that are monitored 24/7 by our own community managers. There's also AI that is able to very quickly identify people or phrases that we need to be kind of very closely taking a close look at, which is why response rate have been under 3 minutes for months, even though we're looking at 100,000 people monthly active and people sending more than 50 messages per week. So I think the fact that we've built in safety from the start, understanding that we will not see people navigating towards increased social health if safety is not baked into the system, is now working to our advantage. In terms of vetting, we've built a community that is representing a hierarchy of helpfulness. One of the earliest observations that we had early on and insights that we had early on is that it's pretty amazing that we have quite a few social networks out there that optimize for matches with outcomes like engagement and people buying ads, where you would end up promoting people for popularity. Or if you look at dating apps, people are matched with the goal of eventually beginning a relationship. But there's no social support network that matches people with the optimized result being loneliness reduction. And we're the only ones who are currently doing it, which is why we're seeing these measurements reduced, which is part of our vetting process and how people are promoted within the platform. So that was a long answer on safety and in vetting, but it really is something that we think a lot about. In terms of acquisition strategy, we have several. If we're working with a plan and there's an existing target list that they'd like us to try and recruit, we have our own recruitment strategies that include email, SMS, IVR, etc. The CAC for enrolling a Medicare Advantage senior who is chronically ill, where the CAC usually is in the hundreds of dollars, for Wisdo is around 20. just because people are so, I think, yearning a social health, social wellness platform that is able to safely connect them with other people and increase a sense of social support. We're also doing acquisition via where people are loneliest most, which is traditional social networks, which are not increasing a sense of connection, but rather increasing in some cases a sense of disconnection, where we've seen a CAC of $4 and $5 per member, even in the 60 plus population, and against a a cost reduction implied by the utilization rates that we've seen reduced in some of the pilots that we've done of around $1,000 per member per year, and against the price point that we're putting in front of this market, which is around $15 PMPM for an enrolled member, or 180 PMPY, the ROI there is pretty strong. So we think that recruitment is working to our advantage as well, just because the problem is so big and solutions are so rare.
That's great. And I think we have time for one more question.
Just as a follow-on question to that, and thank you both for the presentation, but what's the retention rate of a user once they're on the Wisdo platform?
It's incredibly high. Even again, in the Medicare Advantage pilot that we did, where these were chronically ill, lonely individuals, retention month 12 was 43%, which we haven't seen other digital apps reach that retention level, even with younger and healthier populations. So I think, again, the social health science-driven, measurement-driven approach in matching people for an outcome that is measured monthly is able to bring people back very frequently.
Great, thank you.
That's fantastic. All right, really good to see. And again, thank you for that. I really appreciate the thoughtful,
Thanks, guys.
The thoughtful answers on that. Yeah, that's wonderful. All right, good. So next up, we have Envoy, and Casey is here to present away. Casey, go ahead.
My name is Casey Kinnan, co-founder and CEO, Envoy America. Our company provides transportation, assistance, and companionship services to older adults. If you have parents or grandparents that stop driving, there's a good chance that you've heard them complain about transportation. They've been driving for 60 plus years, doing the things they want to do on their own terms. Now that they've stopped driving, they've lost that sense of independence and control, needing to rely on others. Today's senior transportation is ineffective, unreliable, and inadequate. Just ask any senior who stopped driving. Uber is a great service for younger adults who want to go from point A to point B. However, older Uber is not a good option for the over 20 million older adults who might have mobility and or cognitive concerns. I watched my own parents struggle because of the transportation problem. And this is why we started Envoy America as the solution for them and the millions like them. Let me walk you through an example on how the service works. If I'm taking my mom to the grocery store, I would call her the night before, come to her door the next day, help walk her to the car, stow her walker in the trunk, carry a conversation as we're driving to the store, go inside with her, help read labels, carry heavy items, and then load the grocery bags in the trunk. We might stop at the bank or the post office and maybe grab lunch or coffee on the way back. At her home, I would unload the bags and bring them to the kitchen, and if she allows me, I would help her put them in the pantry or the fridge. This could also be a trip to see a doctor or hair salon or religious service. What I've described is exactly what a companion driver would do to help our clients. They replicate what a son or daughter would do to help their mom, dad, grandparents, or loved ones. Our service helps address the social determinants of health for older adults. Besides serving older adults privately, we also serve them through our partnerships with numerous corporate clients in the senior community space, healthcare, payers, and faith-based organizations. Older adults in the businesses that serve them can make reservations by either calling us or leveraging technology from emailing, texting, using an app, or complete integration through open APIs with the business's workflow systems. Today, we're operating in 28 states and continue to grow. One of our key differentiators is our companion drivers. They are mature, compassionate, and they look at what they do as a calling versus just a job. Our dedicated, disciplined team is fully committed to the company's mission of helping older adults age in place, stay independent, healthy, and socially active. Their hard work, their commitment to this mission is reflected in these key performance indicators. To summarize, senior transportation is a big problem impacting millions of seniors across our nation. Envoy America is the solution to this problem. We have two asks from you judges. Select us as the winner of this competition. Let's work together to bring this amazing service to the millions of older adults that can benefit from it. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to present to you, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Outstanding. All right, KC, thank you very much. And judges, if you want to go back on camera, let's get some questions going here. Anyone want to go first with KC?
Yeah, I'd love to. And thank you, Casey, for the presentation. Great solution. Just expanding on your comment about the 28 states, how many users and companions do you have as part of your platform? And also, I'd love to understand what your pricing model is.
Sure. That's a great question. We have thousands of companion drivers. That's how we refer to our drivers across the country. And users, we're serving hundreds of clients every day. So that's on the user side. The pricing model, we either do subscription, and most of the clients that we have today are subscription, ranging from about $5,000 a month to $100,000 a month based on the client, or pay as you go, an hourly rate ranging between $40 to $50 per hour.
Got it. So, and then I guess, obviously that's a pretty big range, but would you say that the majority of your users are, those individual folks that are, paying for themselves, or is it larger enterprises that are covering, X amount of patients that sit under their roof?
Sure. About 95% of our business is through corporate clients. So the go-to-market strategy is business to business, but that also translates business to consumer. So if we're serving a senior living community and they outsource their business to us, that translates into private pay clients that use us to go to places that are not covered under their agreement with the senior living community.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Great questions. Great questions. Anyone else on the judging panel?
I was curious, how do you differentiate from existing car services? I mean, there are like general, ride to the airport, taxi type services. And then there are also, in different local markets, there are different services that are provided for seniors and people with disability that are more private pay. And then there are also ones where some states where Medicaid cover, and then things like the accessible rides for people with disabilities. So I'm curious, how do you position yourself in that landscape?
Sure. Besides our companion drivers as a key differentiator, it's also how we engineer the service, how we manage every service on its own to make sure that we're picking up the client at the right time, using the right vehicle and companion to help them. To what do we do when we bring them to wherever they're going? Do we stay with them? Do we just walk them in? When do we bring them back? Everything is engineered to provide the on-time performance as well as the great service that's tailored to the client itself. So as an example, if we were to pick somebody up, call it Chicago 6 Michigan Avenue, we know upfront that you can't park on that address because it's a main street. So we're engineering the service to know how do we pick them up, where do we go, include how much time does it take for the parking to go up to the 10th or 11th floor to bring them to the location. Those are some of the key differentiators. The other one that our national clients enjoy is we're a national company today versus a regional or a smaller player. So they can have one phone call to us and we can serve them across the country versus you're dealing with one company here, one company there. So those are some of the things that make us unique and different and allowed us to grow the business to where it is today without having to do much business development.
That's great. Well, thank you, judges. And again, thank you, Casey, for that just tremendous pitch and for all the good work you're doing there with Envoy. And we are now to the last four. First four are done and in the books, and now we're on to the last four with Frieden tells me. And we're going to hear now about Sensor's call. Go ahead, Frieden.
Hello, this is Frieden Taslimi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sensor's Call. I've done multiple high-tech companies, many of them successful and some of them failed. By the way, all our founders have similar background. A few years ago, I noticed the agony my wife was going through looking after her mom who lives not far from us. Her concern was every time she went out shopping or she took a bath, she wanted her to call her and let her know that she's okay. And invariably she would forget. One night, it was around about 11 o'clock, we call the cell phone doesn't answer. The landline is busy. We ran to her house and she's sitting there and just watching TV. And this happened all the time. We tried camera, that didn't really work well. And this is the inspiration behind the development of this device, Care Alert, in the form of a night light that has no camera and you don't have to wear anything. You plug one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen living room area, one in the bedroom. It maps out the activity. Anything unusual happens, it alerts you. And as time goes on, it gets smarter as we collect data. That's how we started. But then after going to a whole bunch of conferences and trade shows, and based on the feedback and demand we saw, we realized there's another way to really scale this company. There are a whole bunch of healthcare monitoring companies that is coming about. These are companies that collect data, and based on that, they're making inferences, but they don't really have good ways of collecting that information, and they need smart sensors. And that's where Care Alert comes in. Our product gives you actionable, intelligent data that you can do something about it. We can, for example, onset of depression, we can detect that based on the usage of the kitchen and so on, and the amount of time that you spend in bed. These companies service senior living, RPM, home care companies. There's a whole slew of them, and the number of seniors are dramatically increasing every day. So how do we sell? We sell this as white label or branded. Our margin is about 30 to 50%, but then we have residual monthly income from subscription. The subscription price is very reasonable. It's somewhere between $2 to $5 a month, or a yearly fee of approximately $50. At this time, we have orders for thousands of Care Alert. And we have agreement with a whole bunch of companies that are integrating our product into their platform. And we're running a whole bunch of pilots. We will be launching this quarter, at the end of this quarter, in Australia and in Japan. Our team is extremely strong. Everything is done in-house. The design, the hardware, the software, everything. And I'd like to leave you with a short story about William. William called us last year. He said, thank you. And the reason was, Carolette enabled his mom to stay in the house that she's been living in for a long time. Social services people were there. They were concerned whether she can look after herself. William pulls out the app and he shows them, here it is. She's taking a shower, here's the activity, and here's their kitchen usage. And they said, fine. And she was able to stay in her house. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Freedon. And let's take questions from the judges. Which judge would like to go first on Censor's Call?
I can start. Yeah. Thanks for your presentation. I think it's really interesting that it looks like a nightlight and not intrusive. I was wondering if you could explain the product more in terms of what the product actually does and what is specifically being sensed.
Basically, it has about 10 sensors. It maps out the living activity of the person, how long basically they spend, what time they go to bed, what time they get up in the morning, how much time they spend in the kitchen, and how long a shower they take, how many times they use the bathroom. And then anything unusual happens, it alerts the caregiver. And as we collect more data, we actually, it gets smarter. Boaz talked about loneliness, and there are basically indices for loneliness. We can probably measure some of those things and actually alert on that.
Can you clarify what it's sensing? Is it just a motion detector, or is it looking at, is it looking at infrared, or is it looking at temperature? Like, what is it actually sensing?
That's the secret sauce. There are 10 sensors in the device. So we've been collecting millions of data, and based on that, we figure out what the person is doing. Motion sensor by itself is not sufficient. For example, when you're taking a shower, generally you don't detect the motion. And kitchen usage, for example, has to do with not just motion. We look at the air quality. Based on air quality, we can figure out whether the person is cooking or not cooking, and looking at the temperature and humidity and things like that. So it's a lot more than just a sensor. We look at the light, for example.
Okay. And then so you mentioned there are sensors in different rooms. And so is the data analyzed on a per sensor basis, or do you have data analysis models that are looking at the interaction of the different sensors?
There's a lot of data which is being processed on the sensors themselves. And then they're sent over to the cloud right now. And they're being analyzed, some of it there. The goal is to bring most of the analysis in the device itself. And we're working on sound classification. So we're listening, we're not listening to words, but we're listening to the environment and try to figure out what is happening. Is the person taking a shower, flushing a toilet, things like that.
That's great. We've got about 2 more minutes before Kesha from Salvio. Who's up next?
Go ahead, Moshe.
Go ahead, Nathan. Go for it.
All right. Quick question, just to follow up on Wen, and then thank you for your presentation. How many devices does an average user need to have in their homes? I mean, between bathrooms, living spaces, bedrooms. I mean, I would imagine that's 3 right there. How many on average have you seen amongst your user base?
We generally recommend 3 devices. 1 in the bathroom that the person uses, 1 in a bedroom, 1 in the kitchen living room area. Now, if you have a much larger home, most people generally live in a particular area. Even if you have a very large home, you still live in a certain area of the home. And again, remember, this is not a question of the motion. We look at the light activity, we look at the sound, for example, you have the TV on, things like that. There's a whole slew of stuff that is happening that we collect data on.
Yeah, I would echo, I think what Wen was getting at. I would say in future presentations, it would be great to really highlight what the sensors are and show us, if you've got a product. I'm a big fan of show and tell. This is what it does. These are all the things that it can pick up, just so that we can get a sense of what it can do for our families. So I'm guessing you're doing fall detection, and do you have some data on false positives or false negatives on fall detection?
Okay, at this time, we are not doing any fall detection. This is more of a well-being. However, there is a technology coming out which is called Wi-Fi sensing. And the way we've designed this device, we are not using all the sensors as yet. As time goes on and we find better technology, we upload it. We have a nice OTA, and we can actually do that later on.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful questions, judges. Thank you very much. This is coming along really nicely. Another impressive technology from these phenomenal finalists. And now we go to Kesha, who's the co-founder of Salveo Innovations, and is going to present a little bit about this. Go ahead, Kesha.
One of the biggest threats to our nation's healthcare system today is low health literacy. Let me tell you a story. About 6 months ago, my 80-year-old grandmother was admitted to the hospital for a stroke. Due to COVID, we were not able to accompany her. By day 2, my grandmother was calling us in a complete panic. Oh my gosh, you have to get here. You have to help me. I have no idea what they're saying. Fortunately for her, my husband and I are healthcare professionals, so we're able to help her navigate the situation. However, my grandmother's not an anomaly. 9 out of 10 people have trouble understanding complex health terms. Over 80 million people in the US actually have low health literacy, resulting in over $238 billion in unnecessary healthcare spending. And as I said before, my grandmother had us, but not everyone has a healthcare provider in their family. However, they can have our solution, Tyrone. Tyrone is a mobile application that helps to bridge that communications gap between patient and healthcare provider by breaking down that complicated jargon into easily understood terms, utilizing AI and adaptive language technology. Think about Google Translate, but for health literacy. The features for Tyrone include, first, a symptom checker to help them decide, am I going to make a primary care visit or am I going to the ER? The second is an appointment maker to help them do just that, make an appointment, but also a question builder to allow them to prepare for their appointment and have a more fruitful exchange with their provider. The third is a system of nudges and prompts that reminds them to do very important things post-visit, like pick up prescriptions, get their labs done, or even make a follow-up appointment, all with the ultimate goal of having access to critical information when they need it most. Now, some of the features I just described to you may sound somewhat familiar, but our competitive edge is very clear. None of our competitors offer a fully comprehensive, culturally responsive solution that tackles this low health literacy problem that is either patient-centric or easy to understand. As for our traction, we've had a unique kickoff with our venture with a partnership with Silver Memorial Hospital and Johns Hopkins Medicine. We've raised over $55,000 to date. This has allowed us to develop a clickable prototype and test in 3 key field sites, DC, New York City, and New Orleans, engaging over 4,500 potential target users and healthcare professionals. On this slide, you can see some of our amazing supporters, including ongoing partnerships with the New York City Liberty basketball team, Walmart, and TechPlug.
We've had a strong start, and we look forward to bringing Tyrone to market. Recall from earlier that the estimated cost of low health literacy in the United States alone is $238 billion. And of that, $25 billion is in unnecessary annual spending for Medicare, where hospitals are paying penalties for overutilization of the ER and readmissions. Our go-to-market strategy will target these institutions who are being heavily penalized Tyrone will help reduce the penalties while redirecting resources to areas that can help improve patient outcomes. We'll do this by licensing Tyrone to institutions annually, charging $20 to $50K, scaled by the number of users and the type of institution. And for folks who are not connected to a healthcare provider, Tyrone will be available as a free download. My partner and I have the ideal intersection of expertise to tackle this issue. Carlicia's background is in public health. My background is in education and literacy. Together, we have 28 years of management experience, and we've managed $50 million in projects. We have the vision and the background to succeed, and we invite you to join us.
And here's where we're going. Last year, we developed the user experience prototype and partnered with Capital One consultants who are advising us on data collection and scaling. We completed the UI, UX wireframes in December with a planned launch of Tyrone in March 2023.
$300,000 will allow us to launch the MVP, hire key engineering team and staff members, and bring Tyrone to market. Let's go back to Carlicia's granny. Remember her panic, her unease. Now, imagine a world where no one has communication barriers with their provider, where everyone can understand and act on information for their own health and their family's health and well-being. This is the world we are building with Tyrone. Come join us. Thank you.
Outstanding. And again, a great presentation. Thank you, Kesha. And again, judges, let's open up the questions. Who wants to go first?
Kesha, your grandmother is lucky to have you. Let's start there. Because I agree with you. The healthcare system is replete with all kinds of technical language that people can't access. So kudos to you. I have about 1 million questions, but I know we don't have time for that. How do you think of integration? Are you looking at how do you think of your appointment maker? Are you integrating with others? Are you developing your own? When you get that information, are you then integrating that with an EHR? Like, that's a lot. And so how do you think about that?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. So one of the things that we have been thinking through is how to limit duplication of efforts that already exist. And so we are really thinking about Tyrone as an opportunity to overlay on top of current systems and are really working to refine it around the adaptive language technology and that modeling so that ideally any provider or hospital or payer will integrate it into their system so that it's automatically using language that's leveled and appropriate for the average user.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Yeah, I had a similar question as what Moshe asked. So I think it's great that you're addressing health literacy and care navigation. I think that's a great goal, but I'm trying to understand, how do you overcome the feasibility of, there are a lot of market incumbents for symptom checkers, appointment makers, questionnaires. Every hospital already has a dozen of these. And so, you mentioned the overlay, but I'm trying to figure out, how do you squeeze yourself in and get noticed and get adopted?
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things I want to make sure that I clarify is that our optimal customer is providers and payers that use mobile applications for disease and health management, and particularly in areas where health literacy can be an asset. And this includes a segment of hospitals and institutions that are being charged penalties for higher readmissions and overadmissions. These folks have some incentives. And we think reducing hospital readmissions is a great opportunity because it represents the ability to lower healthcare costs, improve quality, and increase patient satisfaction. One of the things we learned when we did our human design element, folks said, like, yeah, we have these things, but they're not integrated. And they actually are not in language that's leveled that allows us to use the provider or the hospital or the payer application in an effective way. And so it's a little bit of a rethinking of what's there and what's available. And we also think there's an opportunity for us to really help support hospitals around like where their star ratings are, especially for those that are where they use direct contracting, and patients or new enrollees are prioritized by star rating. And so we're really thinking about like, what are the problems currently in the system, and what are the ways that we can address, if there is any low-hanging fruit, the low-hanging fruit of this like ongoing health literacy issue.
That's fantastic. We got about 1 more minute for a quick question. Go ahead.
No question, just more so a comment. Love the presentation. Big fan of Tyrone. I mean, it's incredible. I think what you guys are working on is fantastic. Just generally speaking, you know, obviously, like in the different populations that you'd be serving between DC and New York, you know, how well does Tyrone adjust to different levels of health literacy? Obviously, you know, there could be point A and point B, but obviously there's some idiosyncrasies with that amongst like different people, different cultures, so on and so forth. But I would love just to understand how adaptable Tyrone is.
Thank you. So we're currently working on the ground in New Orleans. And as many of you may know, New Orleans, although they have made, the state, Louisiana has made a number of strides in terms of their overall health outcomes, New Orleans has not, in particular with specific populations of folks and African-American people in the city. And so we've been really keen on answering this question for ourselves, Nathan. We don't have all the answers yet. We are in a piloting phase. And our goal is to do baseline work. We're hoping to partner with a federally qualified healthcare center. We're having very active conversations with department leads of healthcare so that we can really prove out this proof of concept and start to have the resources necessary to continue to build the nuanced models that will help us level across different ways of speaking, in addition to levels of speaking. And we've also found there's a little bit of a nuance there.
Awesome, thank you. Well, would love to hear from you whenever those answers are solved, and we'll have to get Jerry and Stan back, have them invite you back so you can share it with all the other people that are here on the line.
Thank you.
Absolutely, we'll do an alumni reunion in 1 year from now. All right, and we have now our next finalist as we're getting down to the last couple of here. Gabriella Francis, the CEO of QUEG. Gabriella.
QUEG was founded by Saket with the goal of improving grip strength for sport, but has become so much more. Being inspired by feedback from the medical community and the impact that gamification can have on rehab, he assembled a team and got me excited to join him in building the right solution. My name is Gabriella Francis, and I am gaining my doctorate in designing and developing assistive and health technologies. I'm also the CEO of QUEG. My passion is creating healthcare products that are accessible, scalable, and designed specifically for the healthcare community and the populations that we serve. Here at QUEG, we design smart solutions that monitor biomarkers of aging and deliver remote care for a multitude of upper extremity conditions. The problem is twofold. For monitoring, there's limited visibility for frailty and functional decline, which is increasingly important as 14% of adults require assistance with activities of daily living, and 35% of adults are limited in their ability to perform functional tasks. There's also a need for tracking and monitoring musculoskeletal and neurological conditions, many of which are chronic diseases such as arthritis, Parkinson's, or ALS. It's estimated that over 80% of people over the age of 70 have at least one of these chronic health conditions. For remote care, there's a lack of ways for healthcare providers to accurately assess upper extremity impairments at home and provide meaningful activities and exercises to patients to complete their exercise programs. So much so that 70% fail to complete their course and 20% of patients drop out within the first 3 visits alone. Our solution is a 3-pronged approach. The first is to increase that visibility for frailty and functional decline through accurate grip strength measurements at home, which is proven to be a biomarker of aging. Next, we support remote care at home through a connected ecosystem to enable real-time data sharing in a safe cloud-based system, and even provide summary sheets to help providers with healthcare reimbursement. The third is to boost motivation for the actual user themselves for compliance for the rehabilitation program, utilizing gamification principles such as reminders, push notifications, streaks, badges, overall just making the games very fun and making them adaptable to find the user's just right challenge. Introducing Squeg, our smart dynamometer doubles as a remote for interacting with our companion app. We support smartphones and tablets on iOS and Android systems for easy remote assessment of upper extremity impairments and monitoring grip strength against benchmark data for age, gender, and hand dominance. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see a few of our games and activities that help to keep our users engaged. Welcome to our product journey. In 2019, we started as a kickstart with grip strength alone. In 2020, we truly saw the value of Squeg and started to focus on therapy use cases. In 2021, we partnered with the University of Geneva to help build Fragile, an application to help self-detection for frailty at home. And we even dove deeper into how Squeg can be used for therapy and in the clinic. In 2022, we gained clinical validation with an FDA medical clearance, piloted remote monitoring for rheumatoid arthritis with Prevental, and partnered with a leading pharma company on a muscle strength testing application. In 2023, we're excited to announce that we continue to work on the project to include pinch and range of motion and valued evidence-based medicine. I'm excited to announce that our paper will be published in AgeOut towards the end of the year, which showed preliminary evidence for good to excellent inter-instrument reliability and concurrent validity with the current gold standard for dynamometry, which is the JMAR device. We're also excited to participate in this year's AOTA Tech Conference to help link our product to healthcare providers and gain invaluable feedback. As we look to the future, you can see there are many things on the horizon for us. Our business model includes device sales, and we're looking forward to a healthcare provider subscription model. We have over 15,000 units sold, have a 4.6 rating on the App Store, and have 250 healthcare providers currently using with over 1,400 evaluations per month. For our competitors, we primarily looked at the ability to perform remote monitoring on the y-axis and the affordability of the product on the x-axis. Squeg is the only product that can offer remote monitoring for grip strength, range of motion, and pinch at 1/10 of the cost of our closest competitor. Beyond this competition, we look forward to building connections, having the opportunity to further discuss partnerships with investors in the crowd, and collaborate to make health tech the best that it can be. We look to increase production, onboard our team, scale up marketing, and continue on with medical research. All of this is made possible by our outstanding team that has helped us with our range of advisors and the functional team that continues to help us with evolving our product. And with that, we thank you so much and are excited to answer all of your questions.
That is fantastic. All right, great. So judges, our penultimate presentation here. Gabriella, thank you. Wen, Moshe, Nathan, who would like to go first?
Happy to kick us off, and thank you so much for the presentation, Gabriella. Big fan of the name Squeg. That's super catchy. But generally speaking, on your traction slide, I noticed that it said your product is only within Indian HCPs. Do you work with HCPs in other markets as well? And then also would just love to learn a little bit more about the price of the device as well as the subscription itself.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. So for that traction slide, that data point was actually just referring to the one large pharma company that we're primarily working with, and that is in India at the moment. But we do have a lot of healthcare providers that are using within the United States, and we value working back and forth and gaining feedback from them on how to make the product better. So we always look forward to setting up meetings for how they're going with the trials in the clinic, and anything that we can do to, really make it as seamless as possible to integrate into the practice, not only for in-person care, but also to support, remote care as well. And for the second half of your question, I'm going to introduce Saket, who's the founder, who can provide a little bit more light.
Hey, Nathan. Thanks, Gabby. So overall, for the cost, Nathan, right now the device is priced at $68.97, which is a wellness device. And as we are building capabilities around range of motion and pinch, we are still working through understanding the right pricing model for our for the customers, and also working through the HCP subscription model. That being said, we are always looking to be more affordable, to provide healthcare at the lowest cost possible. So that's where our margins and our numbers are still very affordable.
Fantastic. We've got time for one more question. We have 1 more minute. Which judge has a good quick question for these folks to answer quickly?
I've got a quickie. It's less of a question. First of all, loved your energy and vibe. Great presentation. And then I would just say on your team slide, I would have not just their names, but I would have logos or something that denotes why they're an expert in that space.
Sure, yeah, we're definitely proud of our team and everyone that's involved. So I think it's great to kind of push out, all the accomplishments and really explain the breadth of diversity and experience that our team has. So definitely, it's a great point.
Yeah, it's true. The visualization of data and just images and logos and brands and institutions is a nice way for folks to be able to rapidly understand where you're coming from and what you're doing. So again, Gabriella, thank you, and Saket, thank you as well. Good meeting you both. Outstanding. So our last but not least presentation of the 2023 February AgeTech Collaborative from AARP Pitch Challenge is coming up from Ursumin, and it's Shannon Aylesworth. Shannon, thank you for joining us today, and go ahead, the stage is yours.
When I was 35, my mother was first diagnosed with a lung issue and got very sick. My family and I spent 40+ hours every single week trying to help her manage her health. Appointments, daily care, collecting and transferring records, researching her disease, and finding treatment options. Over the last 15 years, I've seen my retirement savings dwindle over $150,000, my career took a back seat, and I spent a majority of my time doing paperwork, healthcare bills, insurance, and trying to get quality healthcare. I see it as a privilege to help my parents, as do the 53 million other caregivers, but our health and our financial situations suffer, and often we lose a relationship with our parent that we used to have. Hi, I'm Shannon Aylesworth, founder and CEO of Ursumin. Ursumin is a platform designed to enable caregivers to more effectively manage the care of their loved ones, which improves the quality of life for everyone. As people live longer and the number of chronic illnesses continues to grow, more and more pressure is being placed on the caregiver to take on the workload of helping loved ones get the help they need while staying in the home. In fact, the number of caregivers is expected to grow to 90 million in just the next 7 years. What used to be a part-time jump in when needed job has become a full-time job of helping parents manage their health. We have been able to pioneer a new platform for patients and their caregivers that can save large amounts of time and improve quality care for the patient. First, a single location for the patient's health data with patient-approved caregiver access. The aging population often struggles with technology, so they must lean on the caregiver to help them access their data. More often, the caregiver must log into the portals themselves. Not only does this present a security risk, it doubles the work on a caregiver to have to log into multiple portals for their parents, or worse, they have to drive around office to office to get the information required. Providing a consolidated view is the foundation to improving both the patient and the caregiver's lives. Next, education enables caregivers to know quickly what to do and often can make the difference in a patient's health outcome. Imagine your mom is diagnosed with cancer and you get a notification in your portal from her doctor when you get home. Here's what to expect from the patient and how to help them as they go through these first few weeks of shock and fear. The relief you feel having clear direction on what to do next spurs you to take action and provides much needed support role for your loved one. Lastly, while on average there are 7 caregivers per patient, the work often falls on the primary caregiver. Supporting caregivers often suffer from fear of making a mistake, not knowing what to do, or not understanding how to help. For the same reason that we provide data and education to the primary caregiver, we need to help them extend pieces of the plan to the rest of the team. Tools to delegate help with quick handoffs of what to do and how to do it, and enables others to quickly jump in and help while maintaining the quality of care. While competitors offer similar features like education, social resources, and records, the lack of consolidation creates a burden on the patient to try to collect information themselves, and it shows. On average, patient portals are used only 26% of the time. Add in that the caregiver can't get access to this information, leaves them either having to go to every appointment with their parents to get it or scrambling around in portals trying to find the data and treatment plans. It's such an incredible waste of time. The market opportunity is $6.6 billion and will grow to $9 billion in the next 7 years. Our go-to-market plan is in a B2B2C model with a small consumer play to make sure we stay in front of the pulse of the user. We've surveyed over 1,500 patients and caregivers about their top needs to shape product market fit. We launched our pilot mid-January and have 100 users on board. We are partnered with 2 caregiver organizations to provide our services to more than 5,000 caregivers and are planning pilots with 2 primary care organizations serving over 2 million aging patients at the end of March. We've raised $350,000 to date and will start fundraising for our $2 million seed round early March. From me spending my evening digging through patient portals just to accomplish a very meager task of setting up an appointment, to being able to quickly get an appointment, some ideas on how to work with mom on her mobility, and then moving back to spending quality time together. We believe that we can make a huge impact on the quality of life of both the aging population and caregivers by empowering them with the tools they need. Join us in raising the level of caregiver impact and watch the power of millions lifting up the world. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. That was amazing. And again, this is our last pitch. We've got 5 minutes for questions and answers. And let's hear from our first judge who wants to open up the questions here for Shannon.
I can start. So yeah, thank you, Shannon, for your inspiring family story that's motivated you to improve quality of life. And I was curious, like over the past decade, I've seen multiple different companies that are essentially personal health records, health vaults, and caregiver care coordination tools. And some have lasted, but many have come and gone. And so I'm curious, how are you different than these other competitors?
That's a great question, and yeah, I'd say there's a couple of things that really come into play with timing and why now is the right time. Number one, legislation that finally started in 2016 and got dragged out for patients getting access to their records. It really, if you look at the timing, 2016 that was supposed to happen, it got, 2019 was the final, execution and COVID hit. So it really didn't open up until just late last year. And we started developing for that time frame. So our ability to get the records, significantly different than what the traditional platforms used to do, which is still put the work on the caregiver and the patient to input manual records. So if you look at, and I don't want to say any names, but most of the platforms, you still have to put the record in themselves, or what they can do is pull a record from the EMR in the EMR's version of what's kicked out. So if you look at Epic or Allscripts, they all have different formats. And so you can get those in different formats, but they're still duplicated. There's still a jumble of records. It's no different than when I walked around with my mom's 15 pounds of records, tons of duplication. So the difference is timing of our ability to get access to that data, sort through it, make it consumable in one view that the caregivers and the patients can really, really consume, and then also enabling the caregiver to get access to that through the patient, and the provider as well is looking for caregivers to get involved also. So I would say foundationally, that's probably the biggest thing. And then the second really is COVID's really opened people's eyes that they need to control their health. So the consumer play, the caregiver desire to get access to their records and be able to manage their health is significantly different than what those companies that launched between 2016 and 2019 were going for.
Okay, thank you. And I'm curious about, aside from being the data repository, you mentioned there are patient education materials, and I think it's interesting to have that type of decision support or education aspect. And are you planning to build that content yourself, or are you partnering with content vendors?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. Yeah, we're planning on partnering. There are one of the things that I looked into as we launched this was that there's no shortage of apps out there for education, for resources, for prescription management. Our goal is to consolidate that into one view and make it easy, in addition to giving you access to your records. So things like CPT codes that will tell you what kind of education is needed. We partner with educational companies that are already being launched by the medical community of what should that educational track look like? What do you want to tell the caregiver? The provider as well has an option. One part of the deployment strategy will be that the provider has the option to build the track they want their patients to go through as well. So if I'm a primary care and I've got a population of diabetics that I want to get a certain education track, they're able to push that through with whatever platform they have that exists today.
Great. And thanks, Shannon, for the presentation. That was it was awesome. Kind of following along this theme of building, out of curiosity, what are some of the strategic objectives or milestones that you're looking to accomplish with that $2 million raise?
Yeah, so we've built the pilot, as we mentioned. What we want to do is expand upon the caregiver resources that are in there. So including things like we've got pilots, we've got I'll call starter development around education, shared calendars, caregiver coordination. We've started those pieces, but there's significant more that needs to be implemented, like sharing specific sets of the records. So for example, if I'm a secondary caregiver and I've offered to take my father to a doctor, what records do I need? What notes do I need? Being able to separate that piece versus just giving exposure to all of the records. Those are incremental improvements on the platform. And then the opposite side of that is for the provider side. So the provider admin view as well is going to be another piece of kind of development side. So most of the 2 million is going to go into development and then customer acquisition. So provider side is going to be things like how you separate by chronic illness. How do you communicate between patient and provider with the caregiver being involved? All of that goes into development. And then the third piece of that development piece will be integration of wearables, which for chronic illnesses is obviously a really big thing of bringing in that behavioral data. So the EMRs, I think that's one of the big, things that we really understood is that, having the medical record is one piece, which everybody's tried, but then bring in that wearable data that shows some of that behavioral data and how do you help caregivers intervene maybe with getting your parent to the doctor or getting your parent to get help before things, get too bad, is kind of that third leg of the stool where we'll put the development while we're acquiring customers.
That is outstanding. Well, thank you, Shannon. And again, thank you, judges, and get ready, judges, to go into the judges room. We've got the Audience Choice Award, which is going to be so exciting. There is an opportunity for the audience, the hundreds of people watching around the world, to vote on which was their favorite. So we'll have a drum roll, please, while Jerry and Ansley get the Audience Choice Award ready to roll. You should see a pop-up box in front of your Zoom screen. Please begin voting. Vote early, don't vote often. And just remember that these voting machines have been checked and they are fully FDA regulated and compliant. So we are in good shape with these voting machines. And it looks like we're off to the races. And while we're doing the tabulations for voting, and don't forget, join Breakthrough One. The winner of the Audience Choice Award will get a free 6-month membership to Breakthrough One. Just scan the QR code there. You get slides, transcripts, you get chats, you get all the things that you want when you join Breakthrough One as a general member for just $99 a year. And then the winner of the Audience Choice Award gets the global membership, which gives them connections to whoever they want. We get all kinds of inclusion on different programs. So take a look at Breakthrough One when you scan that code with your cell phone, and would love to have you join that. And again, for those of you who are with organizations and you want your organization to make a bigger impact within the AgeTech community, don't forget to check out the Breakthrough Alliance. We'd love to have you join us and be a board member there. But again, just having a blast working with you all on this. And it looks like we are getting closer to the end of our Audience Choice Awards. And again, more information on the Breakthrough Alliance for everyone who's interested with an organization. Would love to have you join there. And it looks like we've got the winner for the Audience Choice Award. Looks like Stell Life with 23% of the vote. Coming in close second is going to be Squeg with 16%, and then Rubitection at 15%, and then it's just getting better after that. So again, thank you all for participating. The voting is now closed. And again, Stell Life with 23% of the vote. I can't announce it now, never mind. So we will continue on now. The judges are going to come with me to the judging room, and we're going to go off there, and we're going to have the keynote address given by Dr. Partha Bhattacharya, and really appreciate you joining us today. Dr. Bhattacharya, thank you for coming in, and looking forward to hearing your address about what is happening with digital health and age tech in the 21st century.
Thank you. Just give me a second. I think I should be able to get my screen up, and it is up.
Super.
And I should be able to share and take over. All right.
All right, there you go.
Great. You know, when I got the invitation, I reflected what I can talk about. And I thought of reflecting on the interaction between data and technology for older adults, because that's where my expertise lies. And the hype versus reality, and how all of you can make a difference in the short term or in the long term. So a disclosure that I have to give, because I'm a federal employee. This presentation was prepared in my personal capacity. The opinions expressed in this presentation are my own and do not reflect that of the view of my employer, National Institute on Aging, National Institute of Health, and the Department of Health and Human Services and the United States government. So the outline for today's talk, I'll go over the brief history, and I'll start with AI because it's talk of the town in everything that we are involved in. Applications of AI for older adults. We will go over diagnostic accuracy. We will go over chronic management and healthcare delivery system and disparities. What are we doing? What is the national agenda? And I'll leave with some of my thoughts personally. But I want to start with the figure on the right. It came out of one of the studies we funded. Right? We think about technology. We think about devices, such as the one I carry in my hand, and internet access. But we need to be very mindful that internet access, 4G, 5G access, LTE access, are not available to everyone. And this report nicely lays that out. Just keep that in mind, and I'll try to remind us, because disparities to access can mean whatever you create can never get to the person that you created. So it's an important part, and we need to be mindful of that. So when it comes to AI, we're going to, some say, a great hype cycle. And a very nice article was written by Hillary Putnam back in the days. It's actually 1950. And I highlighted out because there are a few things here: learning machines and digital computers. And there are a whole bunch of other things in the article content. But she asked a very simple question: what is all the fuss about? Right? Perhaps it is the prospect that exercises us, but why do we think now is the time to decide what might be, in principle, be possible? Right? I want you to keep this in mind, because sometimes we are promising, but can we keep up with the promise and deliver what many individuals need? And how can we serve their need? The AI applications for health, I'll start with diagnostic accuracy for cognition, and again, health delivery systems for cognition and what we are doing. And these are examples of what we could have done or what we could be doing, and with timeline to talk about hype cycles, right? And the delivery of the hype cycle versus the reality and how it occurs. So I'll try to paint a picture where I'm trying to be very realistic of what we can do and what is in the pipeline. I'll touch on chronic care management. In America, older adults, individuals in their midlife, suffer from multiple comorbidities. They need care. Right? What type of bias, ethics, and role of behavioral economics can play to mitigate some of those risks? And again, there's a very nice reading. It's from national academies that gets at this. It's the artificial intelligence application for older adults with people with disabilities, right? balancing safety and autonomy, we need to really think about individuals that cannot do much, that do not have control. How do we design systems that can help? So let's start with diagnostic accuracy. And again, this is not, I'll not say an exercise I did to pick on studies, but to depict the areas that we support in our portfolio, and specifically in my portfolio at NIA. Misdiagnosis of dementia in primary care is prevalent in America. It's well established. If you go back to the literature, I went back, I could go back to 1980s, actually. But I saw early signs of using speech protocol to detect early stages of dementia. That's by IBM in 2013. Again, it comes back around IBM in 2020. And now we actually see voice assistants, which developed over the years, really take a dive into this early detection of cognitive decline and how you can predict cognitive. Look at the timeline here. This I will call the hype cycle. The reality is kicking in. The devices are becoming available. And now we may be able to do something, right? I say may because work is yet to be done. And that's 2020, work is ongoing. So as we go over Gartner's pictures, right? If you were looking at this from 2013, you'd be like, wow, we're in the cutting edge. We can solve this problem today, right? And as we come back here, right, we're coming into the chatbot arenas of this, of what is really coming up now, ChatGPT and others, right? We can really integrate these features as reminder tools, maybe in our speakers tomorrow, and really get things going, right? So maybe, you know, in another 3 years of time, you're going to get some products out there that can really help older adults. And this diagnosis accuracy plays an important role because often we do not diagnose people. And I'll get into that next and show you some data. So in our case, we held a meeting in 2017. Right? We funded work using electronic medical records that highlighted, yes, we can indeed use, you know, EMR data to predict cognitive impairment early, actually in diverse populations. That's the biggest benefit one can get out of this. Not only early diagnosis, but you get it across. Then we had the publication, which is the validation exercise, that yes, indeed, EHR data can be used. Fast forward now, what do we know? There's lack of brief, reliable, validated screening tools for detecting cognitive impairment. There are no medicines out there in the pipeline. There are many in the pipeline, but no medicine out there. Magic cure, I call it. And it's often undiagnosed, but what you see, whether you're a non-Hispanic white, non-Hispanic black, or Hispanic, the numbers go up of not being diagnosed, right? But critically important, over 40%, depending on who you are, even if you're white, not diagnosed. If you're black, the number goes up. If you're Hispanic, the number even goes up higher. Okay? So we prepared this program to address what we call receiving the dementia diagnosis pretty late in the game, right? Look at these numbers. There's 3 years plus, closing in on 3 years plus, depending on who you are across the board, right? And can we do better? And can we do better when the hype cycle is over and address it? And how do we address it on a national scale? So we started this program called Low-Cause Detection of Cognitive Impairment in Clinical Settings. It takes a number of cognitive, well-validated measures and tries to launch it in EHR settings. Some require development work, other validation, right? And the idea here is to incorporate that in annual wellness visits, right? You heard about Medicare reimbursement in some of the pitches, right? Here is one avenue where tools can be created which can be reimbursed. They also have to be pragmatic in nature, right? And tools and development of these interventions must address disparities in diagnosis, right? I already showed you the number, but we raised the bar for this program. We said, we would like you to replicate this within the funding period to get better results faster. And if they stick, it can be scaled and we can make it available to older. So if you go through that hype cycle now, right? 2017, when we funded a grant, which produced the result, right? And now these programs are getting launched and they're completing the first phases of clinical trials. And we get the statement, can Alexa help doctors detect onset of dementia as part of news release? So it's critically important. Like, yes, we do see the hype, but there's a time lapse when the actual applications can come in. And for these examples that I've talked, we have yet to see action, right? That means the products are going to come out, and hopefully in the near future. Chronic care management and bias. And from Nature, there was a very nice article published in 2019, which highlighted millions of Blacks are affected by racial bias in algorithms. And when you dissect why biases occurs, right? We need to think carefully why and who are creating these algorithms. So in this case, what you've seen, when the algorithm was created, right, it was used to maximize for a health cost. So the benefits to the insurers, that's how most of algorithms are created. But when it was corrected, right, we could correct the course. That was the beauty of this paper. When the bias was corrected, right, for health needs, individuals that are Black can and could get the right care. And this begs the question, can we use behavioral science and AI to meet the needs of patients and providers across the board? There have been a number of articles written, and we started quite a few programs in that area. You have the data from electronic medical records, right? And you can use various types of nudges, behavioral economics techniques, whether it's public commitment. This is a letter that one doctor can post in their office not to prescribe antibiotics. Socially motivated performance report. This is performance reporting for my Pepco bill, where it shows 1 month I was great, another month I was good. But this type of innovation has been prevalent since 1984. And yet we have to integrate in our electronic medical records system or electronic health record. Accountable justification, asking a doctor why someone needs certain medicine. So as you know, antibiotics use has been rising over time, right? What can we do about it? If someone doesn't need antibiotics at a certain time of the day, can we actually help them? And then defaults. Defaults have shown to get uptake of generic equivalents. That means a patient who has to pay $50 for their copay or brand name may be able to pay $10, right? And really actually help. There's no changes in health outcomes when they take generic. That was the key point. So we initiated this program. Again, it started in 2017 almost. It's focused on choosing wisely programs. And this is guideline concordant care that individuals should be getting and implementing them in EHR. And then other recommendations from American geriatrics healthcare professionals also. And then we initiated another program in 2019, which takes up US preventive task force. All of this gets at a simple thing, is improving healthcare delivery of the most simplest thing. It's not going to do surgery for you, but giving people the right type of care that they need. So what else are we doing? Since this is talk about HIT and AI, I thought we'll talk about our programs that we have created, and many of you may be able to take advantage of it. We created our Artificial Intelligence and Technology Collaborative program, which runs through 3 institutions, Hopkins, Mass, AI and Technology Centers, UPenn, and our coordinating center is coordinated by Rosalie and Associates. These are grants that we give out to competition, about $200,000 in non-dilutive direct cost to be expended over 12 months. And we are challenging researchers and asking them to transform care delivery for older adults. We are challenging them to make healthcare better. And here's the example of first round of winners. And you see a lot of logos. That's on purpose to show you that it's a broad balance. This is just not an academic pilot program we are running, but we are running it across the United States, which is open for startups to academics to partake and to improve healthcare delivery for older adults.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Just give me 2 minutes. The blueprint for AI Bill and Rights. I'm just going to close on the end to talk about some of the resources that you really need to think about. This just came out in October, but think about creating safe and effective systems. Right? Think about discrimination protection. I touched on that. Think about data privacy, right? It's not just about data and taking the data. How do you get the data from an individual who is cognitively impaired? And how do you do it in the most appropriate and ethical way? Think about that, because older adults struggle. Explaining is another issue, and alternatives and fallbacks need to be considered. And this is very well articulated in the AI Bill of Rights that you can go over. There's also a National AI Resource Task Force report, and which calls for enabling new modalities of research, expanding and strengthening our capacity in the United States for AI R&D. And it calls for development for resources, which I just talked about that we started. But last, I don't want to remiss the point on trustworthiness. As you work on AI, as you work with technology, you need to be very mindful, right? As with any powerful and complex tool, AI comes with risk. So please watch out for the consequences. So I'll end with my thoughts. There are a bunch of reports that you can pick out of. And I think the NIST risk management framework can potentially help many of you. The artificial intelligence in healthcare can highlighting how technologies be created for medical diagnostics, right? But I use few words here, responsibility, right? And what do I mean by that? As we move into the future that is increasingly defined by AI and technology, it is important that we remember our responsibility to use these tools in a well-fashioned way. Let's work together to create a world where everyone can benefit from this incredible power of these innovations, right? This brings the next point on equity and access, which I started with. I hope today's talk has given you a glimpse of incredible potential, but also what we can do, what you can do, right, to make the future brighter. Efficiency. We live in this world that is changing faster than ever before with computational power. And as we embrace these technology and AI, we can create a better future that is more efficient, more sustainable, and just. And we have to be creative about being just, watchful about being just, and trying to do the justice. The most important part of AI and technology, in my opinion, is not the technology itself or the creator, but the people who use it. It is up to us, you, me, and others who are in these privileged positions to ensure that these tools are not used in ways just for select few, but benefits all. Not just the select few, I repeat, but benefits all. Let's rise to that challenge together. right? And I conclude by saying AI has the potential on my hype wood. AI has the potential to be one of the most transformative technologies of our time, because now we have computational capacity that we didn't have in 1950s, 80s, 90s. We have it now, but we must ensure that hype surrounding it just doesn't blind us to the real challenges we face in making things equitable and meaningful for everyone. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. A phenomenal talk and greatly appreciated. Amongst this audience of people around the world who are tuning in and listening, a loud round of virtual applause, please, for Dr. Bhattacharya. Outstanding. Bravo. Again, thank you, sir. And with that, we have now our Audience Choice Award for the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP February 2023 pitch competition. The Audience Choice Award goes to the good people at STEL. Well done, STEL, and congratulations on the 6-month free membership to the BT1 Global Fellows Program. Well done there. Outstanding. And for the 3 finalists, we are going to have our 3 judges do the announcements for these folks. First up, go ahead.
In 3rd place, it is my honor and privilege to award STEL 3rd place in addition to the People's Audience Choice Award. Congratulations on both of those accomplishments.
Thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate it.
And I'm delighted to present the 2nd place prize winner, the Innovator Award, and it goes to Squeg. You will receive a HITLAB Innovator Summit sponsorship valued at up to $7,500. Congratulations, Gabriella and Saket.
Awesome. And then finally, in 1st place, I'm happy to announce that Dr. Sana Gaspard and Rubatection have won the 1st place award, with the AgeTech Collaborative Award cash prize of $10,000 provided by the AARP. Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Well done to all of the finalists and certainly the winners as well. And again, special thanks with our phenomenal partners and to our phenomenal partners at the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP. And special thanks to our amazing judges, Wen, Moshe, Nathan. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. All the energy and all the time to bring this together. And a special thanks to our team at HITLAB, Nico, Rachel, Vienna, Raymond, Ainsley, Jerry. You guys are awesome. You pull it together every time, and this time was outstanding work. Can't thank you enough. We really appreciate you in a big way. And again, want to make sure that everyone here has a terrific day, a terrific week, and a wonderful 2023. Thank you all from where you are around the world for joining us today. And please do stay connected, link in with us and subscribe to YouTube and be a part of our communities as we're building a more equitable world through digital health. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.